Oh, do you want to tweet for me that I'm on?
Yep.
Yo, what's up, guys? 26 people. Hi, 26 friends. You're the only 26. You're the only 305 people that matter, and you're the only 400 and 699 people that I care about in the world. Hi, how are you? What's up, Adam? How are you guys? It's an exciting day in my world because I'm coming to you live from YouTube. They were kind enough to donate this wonderful room, this wonderful apartment. Just kidding, it's actually a part of an office. Just like everything here, it's a movie set. No, we're live from YouTube. We're hanging. I'm out and about because I have a new song out. A lot of you guys have heard it. It is called Running From My Shadow. Features Grandson. And the song is out and the video is out today. So go check it out after this. Gonna hang with you guys for a minute, answer questions, and talk about all the important stuff you've got on your mind. So, what do we got going on here? Ciao. Let's look at who is in the chat. Adam's in the chat. Frank Maddox in the chat. Zach in the chat. What's up, guys? Okay, so for those of you guys who've seen the video, our friend, my collaborator and friend, Grandson, is who you hear on the track, who you see in the video, and he is actually available right now. We're gonna add him to the chat. I think he just got off the plane. What's up, dude?
What's up, dog? How we doing?
Good. How are you?
I am in LaGuardia Airport right now.
You got off the plane?
Literally, so I got off the plane and then, but we got docked at some weird other part of the airport, and I had to make a marathon sprint. I don't think anybody on the bus knew what it was that I was so urgently running towards, but it was pretty important to me. But I'm here now. We're here. This gets me jazzed up, and it's been.
I just went over to I just did a really long interview. They gave me a really long interview spot on.
I saw that
on Beats One, and it was a really good. It was a really good interview. Like I've had some good ones. This is definitely in the top, echelon. Got to talk about the song. Got to talk about what's happening. I think a lot of people that are on this checking this out right now are probably new to your music. Tell the Linkin Park and Fort Minor Mike Shinoda fans about you. Where are you from? What do you do?
How cool is this, man? Fuck. I'm Grandson. I've been making music largely as like a disciple. I think it must be interesting for you. You've been in the game so long that, you can obviously probably recognize what school of genre bending I come from, which is largely the genre that you played a huge part in creating. So for me, I think that we had a very similar upbringing musically, and my first love was hip hop, boom bap, 90s hip hop, and then got into alternative bands in the late to mid 90s. Never really got into like the hair metal stuff from the 80s, but I really loved Rage. I loved Nirvana and, the Smiths, Smashing Pumpkins. And I always felt like I had to choose. And then I got really into like trap and EDM. And I was kind of like, all right, am I going to be a DJ, a rapper, or a rock star? And it was kind of like, I think I can kind of do all of it now. It's 2018, so why the fuck not? So I kind of just started making music with Boone, you know, the guitarist who collaborated on the song with us. And it's already been beyond my wildest imagination that I'm able to kick it with you and have this conversation right now. And it's been a really...
It was funny, the reason, just so you guys who are watching, the way that we had met wasn't, it was just so random and natural. I heard, do you call it the song Blood Water, or you call it Blood in the Water?
It's called Blood Water.
Blood Water. So it's like blood / water. Blood Water was, I caught that song and I just really liked it. And I followed you on social media, like I think it was Twitter and Instagram. And
which was a bizarre moment for me. I remember actually I was on the phone with my mom, like lazily checking Twitter, and it said that Mike Shinoda started following you. So I assumed that it was like a Russian, you know, bot impersonator that was coming for my credit card information or something. And so I clicked the link, and then I saw it was you, and I was like, what? I was very confused. It remains something that's very inspiring to me and confusing to me that you would take your time and energy and invest it into curation, still finding new music, discovering new music. So I would love to pick your brain on why that's still important to you. Like, why have me featured on your album?
Well, I'm always listening to new stuff. I listen to more new stuff than old stuff. So I'm always like every time, you know, every weekend, I'm picking through the new releases and just checking out, you know, looking for things that I like. And I kind of dump all those into a big, almost like a sorting playlist.
Yeah.
And I really like, then I just keep it. Then it goes to like a more of a keeper playlist. So
that was one of the coolest things. When I first met you, you sent me, I think it was before we even linked up, you just sent me a playlist of like 15 songs you thought I would be inspired by. I was like, I could not believe that you would be so gracious as to like open your doors musically, not even on some collaboration, just on some like sharing what you've been listening to. And it's been cool to see how I think that some of your fans might get down with the music that I'm making. And it's cool to see how, I mean, just today has been an absolute tidal wave. I don't think very many people get such an intimate insight into what your fans are like, how dedicated Linkin Park and Mike Shinoda fans are. Having my Twitter blow up with people from literally all over the world that are so passionate off of like a 15-second teaser video, making like art. Like, it must be great. How does that feel? And has that feeling, like, I'm sure it's gone through ebbs and flows. Was there a time where you might have, do you look back and go, maybe I took it for granted at that point, but now restarting being a solo artist for the first time, do you have newfound perspective on like what that means?
No, it's like very, you know, I think like all of, we're all just making music. Like I sometimes joke with people that it's, you know, when people get nervous for different reasons. Like for me, it's, you know, musicians, I mean, like for me, the place where I get less nervous when it's just a regular show. I get more nervous if it's like a TV thing or something that I know is live. That if you trip and fall off the stage, like everyone's going to see it right then and there, and you don't have any choice. So that's, you know, I what I do to remind myself to like chill out if I'm feeling like, oh, I'm a little nervous about this thing, is I do remember that it's just music. Like we've grown up doing this. We love doing it. We love listening to it. It's not, you know, it's not all that serious sometimes.
Right.
And I feel like for you know, I love looking for new stuff. I love finding new artists, and what you're doing, as I told you, like I told you when we met up originally, it's familiar to me.
Mm-hmm.
But you do it in a way that isn't something that I like. If you do stuff that I haven't done or I wouldn't have thought to do, and that's always a feeling. Like that's usually the stuff that I gravitate towards the most is when I listen to somebody's stuff and I go like, oh, that's a great idea, or like they really killed it, like making that thing that
Yeah,
I don't know if I could have done that, or I have never thought to do that.
I appreciate that, and it kind of inspires me to like figure out, like to embrace that which I do with all the more passion. And I think part of that is being receptive to collaboration and looking at yourself as a creative person, as an artist, and going, this is not only like what I'm good at over here, but this is the part that I really love doing. Like I really love singing. I'm not going to get on a Mike Shinoda song and start trying to drop bars with you. That's just impossible. I'll forget. Go. But I love, you know, kind of singing these kind of creepy melodies, and I look at all that you've done for mental health and how you've used songwriting and been so kind of confessional and led by example for so many millions of people. And that's definitely something I want to integrate into what I do, and also use my music to reflect what's going on. Here we are in 2018. Here we are on this, you know, incredible kind of battlefront between that's going to dictate where the future goes in terms of our relationship to the planet, to the environment, to one another, how we treat one another, how we handle when those social constructs, like when those contracts get violated. How do we respond? How do we hold our elected representatives accountable to troubleshoot when society goes wrong? Like, those are sorts of questions that I think that have never been more relevant. And I think that we as regular people have never had such transparency and such like insight. And we've never had more power through social media, through art. So it's an exciting time. And I look at the way that you've laid the blueprint for, if you are honest, if what you're making is confessional and honest, the more specific you get somehow, I don't really get this, maybe you can talk on it, but the more specific you're tapping into something, the broader people seem to engage with it and hear themselves in that. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah, I think that's true. I wrote for a long time. I wrote in a way that was a little more vague, maybe a little more vague. It was a more universal kind of approach, style of writing to appeal to breaking down a bunch of similar life experiences, meaning my life experience, Chester's life experience, Brad, Joe, Rob, Dave, and everybody to a core emotion, and then making the song about the core thing. But those tended to be more, like I said, more vague because it was about a lot of different people's story, and that's one way of going about it. There are times to make things a little more, you know, broad, and then there are times when being very specific can be just as powerful or universal, because if you are talking about your own story and the story is a universal kind of emotion, like whether that's anger or fear or grief or happiness or whatever, you know, the specificity of like what has happened oftentimes can make people go like, oh, okay, I know where you're coming from. I've heard you. I know that happened to you, or I know that happens to people. It happens to me. You know,
I think one of the reasons that you being
for the people that don't know you, you have some socio-political stuff in your music.
Yeah.
And maybe you can talk about how you arrived at doing that, like how those things, why you feel passionate about singing about those things, or how they work their way into your stuff.
Well, for me, I had been trying to make music since I was like 16 in so many different failed manifestations, like just trying to do anything. And I kept hitting these roadblocks, like be it behind the scenes with like some industry bullshit, but or also just like on some creative roadblocks, like having writer's block or not feeling very confident in what I'm doing. And I did a lot of soul searching, and I realized one of the reasons that kept happening was because I didn't have a why. Like, because if I really dug into like, but why do I keep doing this? It was because I want to tour or I want to see the world or be a rock star. And none of those are there's no urgency to that. Like there's a million people that want that, you know, and if it's about that, then I mean, good to do that. But for me, it was like, there needs to be a purpose here. There's something more fulfilling that I could use this opportunity for. And it was happening simultaneously at a time where I felt very disenfranchised as an American, just as a global citizen. I'm watching things happen on the news that I don't agree with, but I feel so helpless to do anything about it. All I can really do is like call my congressman, you know? So it felt like my music and art represented an opportunity for me to kind of take the power back, honestly, and hopefully inspire some other generation of musicians the way that you and Zach De La Rocha and a million other artists inspired me. So that was just kind of the ins and outs of it. One thing I wanted to quickly touch on, what you said before about, you know, that specificity. I think one of the big things that people might assume about you, but they don't have anyone telling them with firsthand experiences, you're like a real dude. It's very disorienting to spend time with you. Like when we went out for breakfast, like Mike just showed up, no entourage, just like baseball cap on, and was Mike fucking Shinoda. That was really inspiring for me. And I think that as long as you don't lose that touch, that perspective that you've probably had since before you were making music, when you were just a teenager, like that guy is relatable to everyone else with me in this airport right now. But you know, you have to remain passionate about things that affect everybody, you know, ordinary Americans. And I think that the political aspect of what I do it gets me closer with people like that. And that's really it. And I think that Running from My Shadow is a beautiful reflection on learning how to deal with your shit. Like it's a thing that I constantly am fighting with, and a thing that I'm actively running from. And I think that cathartic moment before Kevin comes in on the outro, where I've been running from my shadow and now my shadow's my only friend. Like at this point, I'm going to take all of those things that I was so scared of in myself, and I'm going to learn to roll with them. So I'm just happy to be a part of this song. I think it touches on some real shit, and I can't wait to see how people resonate with it and how people relate to it.
Well, I love what you guys did, and I love the song. And by the way, shout out real quick to Brad Delson and my friend Ross Golan. You know, but before you had ever heard the song, I did work on part of it with those guys as well.
That's right.
So they were a part of the reason the song exists.
I remember I came to the studio and it was kind of like, well, what you want to do? And, you know, we were kind of fiddling. I had a song that I had been working on, but it didn't really make sense. And then it was like, maybe we start something from the beginning. But I just wanted to hear the project. And I remember you played Running from My Shadow for me. You were like, I just don't know how we're going to wrap this one up, but I really like it. And I loved it. And I was like, oh, dude, let me.
Yeah, it was, I mean, like, it was so effortless and it was so fun. And it's, I know that it's, you know, you're still putting out I mean, you haven't even put out an album yet. Like, you've got singles and you've got the EP, you got songs
no
on
EP,
the way.
just a couple songs, but we've got some new music coming. That's for sure.
New music on the way. So there's basically, like, I think people are still learning what you're about, and there's a variety, and what they'll find, in my opinion, is, you know, that variety. Like I remember, I always talk about with, like, Public Enemy, for example, like, you couldn't have just Chuck or just Flavor Flav. Like, Chuck was the guy with the hard-hitting political raps. Flavor Flav was the court jester, joker guy to, like, lighten the tone and make it fun. And you're kind of like an all-in-one package where there's, you know, you've got the serious stuff and the like socio-political, you know, fire in it. And then also you're a human being and you're not afraid to talk about being a human being. So that's, you know, it's like, I think that, I'm glad that you're getting it, you know, that we did this song together. Hopefully we can do some more stuff together.
I would love that. Thank you, man.
You know,
and as you said, man,
whatever that means. I don't know what that means.
It's just music.
Yeah.
Thanks again. I want to give a
It'll be
quick
what it
shout
is.
out. Quick shout out to Kevin at I am Boone Boonn. Slayed the production on the guitars. I want to thank you
Yes.
again for having me be a part of this incredible song and this incredible album. I've got to hear more of it than you have if you're watching, and I promise you it is fucking fire. So,
Thank you, man.
stay tuned,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Thank you, bro.
Be safe out there. Glad we could make this happen. And yeah, thank you to you. Thank you to all the fans and everybody involved with the song. Go if you
Good.
guys haven't heard it, go check it out. Go on your favorite streaming or music websites, or go to the whatever it may be, the YouTubes. We have a video out as
That's what
well.
they're on these days.
Yeah, the kids are on the YouTubes. Yeah, go check it out, and thank you guys for watching.
Check it out.
And
Thanks a
thanks,
lot. Come
grandson.
be a grandkid at Grandson Sucks. Join the movement.
Bye, guys.
Later.